Hi and welcome to the FlatBackFour Podcast, the Premier League review show. It feels so good to say that again. I'm Andy McGuire, and joining me this week is Scott Eaglen. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Very well, mate. Very, very well. Great to have football back.
Football is back.
Football, footy. Great to have it back.
It's felt like a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's been like the longest 14, 15 weeks. Honestly, we obviously speak a lot, and we've spoken on the podcast, and we've had guests on. And even though in the short time that we've been doing this, we started the podcast way after lockdown, and yet it still felt an age. But how good has it been to have it back this week? Just your first thoughts on that?
It's been great just to have football in general back, innit? I think we had a bit of a teaser with Bundesliga, didn't we?
It's been good with Bundesliga.
Yeah, it's been a good little teaser. Maybe not the Premier League that we fell in love with. But yeah, it was just good to get the games back, and it was good to have Premier League games again. Maybe not as competitive as we are used to. The tempo of the games haven't been as how they've been in the past. But in general, mate, it's just great to have some sort of football, some sort of normality. Maybe not the normal that we're used to, but just to get some competitive football back.
Yeah, I agree. It almost feels a little bit like, like all the games I've watched, especially. Like last couple of days, felt like the Asia Cup. You know when they go out to like the Asia Cup 2 weeks before the season starts. It's got that feel of it. You can definitely tell the tempo. Which listen, they've only had 2 weeks of contact training, so I'm not surprised at that. Some teams have actually surprised me though, which we're gonna touch on this. But look, we'll get back into again. The Leicester game at the minute is on with Brighton as we record this. Brighton missed a penalty. Leicester have looked a little bit sluggish. Since the restart.
Yeah, they've been a bit sluggish since probably just after Christmas, I think. They had a really good start, really good first 15 games. And maybe since, back into last year, after Christmas, early January, they've just sort of been in and out of form, but that just shows how good their start was, wasn't it? That they're still
saying that they're struggling to keep hold of fourth. I mean, if Leicester fans had heard that in September, August, September last year, they would have snapped your hands off, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I heard a Leicester fan saying the other day, and it shows how far Leicester have come. We might only just get fourth. We might only just get fourth for a Leicester fan. I mean, do you know what I mean? So, really good start for them. Unbelievable 9-0 against Southampton. But like you say, after Christmas, it's been a bit sluggish. But I think they'll
it happens. It happens. We've got and just touching on Leicester, Vardy's on 99 goals. He's going to get the 100. I mean, for someone who didn't join, the elite leagues until maybe 24, 25 years old, I mean, what he's done is nothing short of spectacular, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, mate. There's hope for me and you too, isn't there?
Yeah. Hey, I'm 33 on Thursday. I am still pushing for that 1 year contract somewhere.
All I'm asking for is a trial.
A trial, that's it.
I just want to be that
James Swinney.
Yeah.
Stenhouse-Muir. We've had him on. We know the CEOs now, right? All right, so listen, we're going to get into the games now. Obviously, what kicked us off, we were all looking forward to it because we were all thinking, will Man City destroy the Arsenal? Will Arsenal surprise us under Arteta? And it was the first one. Man City absolutely took them apart. But Arsenal, they are just their own worst enemy out there. David Luiz, we have to talk about him because this is a guy that's won it all. And as a footballer, I don't think anyone doubts his ability. And we all think he's a great footballer. But my God, does he never learn? And especially now he's 33 and he's looked on as a leader. Rash, silly. He was on 22 minutes, Scott. 22 minutes, and he caused an absolute disaster for Arsenal.
If you could build a player that is built like Arsenal as a football club over the last 10 years, it would be David Luiz, wouldn't it? Because, you don't know what you're going to get from David Luiz. You don't know what you're going to get from Arsenal. It could be an 11 out of a 10. 1 week. He could be looking like the world's best defender, and then the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, he's absolutely horrendous. But he's been like that since he's come over to the Premier League.
Since he came over.
The best manager that got the best out of him was Antonio Conte, and that was when he played him in the middle of a back three.
Played him in that three, didn't he?
Yeah. So he could sort of dictate as like a sweeper role. But then, he's got that assurance of 2 men at either side of him. But,
Terry and Kale.
Yeah, exactly. But
who are rocks.
But, I know you'll have a bit of an Arsenal rant as well in a minute, but Arsenal have just been horrendous. They just look like they're on a bit of a, well, again, like we say, just typical Arsenal.
Well, I was with Arteta coming in, he's definitely instilled a little bit more belief, and they were doing pretty well.
Early doors,
they were starting to build, and you think Arteta. I mean, to be fair, it couldn't have really come at a worse time to break, because maybe Arteta was just getting into a routine with Arsenal and getting them playing the way he wants to play, and then Corona hit. But when you see an Arsenal performance like that, like you say, it screams. Somebody said, it's like watching Mikel Wenger, and at times, I get it, but it's true. Like you watch that performance, and it was no different from what we've seen over the last 10 years. Lacazette was, Aubameyang was absolutely awful. I thought, he is not going to be at that club. He turned 31 the day after that game. I cannot see Aubameyang staying there. He's literally into the last 2-3 years, good years of his career. Xhaka obviously got injured. I mean, Xhaka is up and down. He has good games, but he got injured. There were a couple of injuries in the defence. They really, really need to put the hand in the pocket and get some just solid players. Players.
The recruitment over the last few years, maybe 10, 12 years, we've said it before on this podcast, haven't we? They just lack a spine. The only decent player that they've bought maybe the last 10 years to improve that spine probably was Petr Cech, but even he was on a downward spiral in terms of his career.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, how much of a missed opportunity was Gary Cahill going to Crystal Palace for Arsenal? What a missed opportunity.
I didn't understand. Andy, we said it, didn't we? We texted each other.
Yeah, they did the same with Johnny Evans. They could have had Johnny Evans for $3.5 million, 4 or 5 years ago. They just miss out on these blatantly obvious signings and let players' contracts run out like an Aaron Ramsey.
I know. Just before we move on again, because I don't want to spend too much time on Arsenal, because we had a full weekend of fixtures, but Ozil didn't even make the squad. I'm fed up of hearing about it now. I just want him to go to MLS or China, because I think that's just where he's going.
If I don't have any savings at the moment. I do have a little bit of savings, but if I did have a large amount of savings, I would put it all on it to Turkey.
Yeah.
To somebody like to a Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. Go over there for 2 or 3 years. Then MLS probably.
It's a bad egg. It's a bad egg for me. It's a bad egg. I mean, on his day he can be a wonderful player, but I've got to admit. I mean, remember when he first came to the Premier League, me and you were constantly messaging each other in Twitter like assist here, assist. Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable. But he has been down and out for the last few years. I mean, whether that was Wenger or himself. Look, I don't want to judge him because I don't see him. He might train really hard, but the noise is coming out that he doesn't. But the Ozil one I think will work itself out. Moving on, I just want to go on to the weekend now, because we had a full weekend. We're going to scan over a couple of games that maybe because there was some talking points this week. Again, the Watford Leicester. Ben Chilwell scored an absolute humdinger of a goal, and then Watford went down and equalised. Chilwell, we weren't sure about Chilwell a couple of years ago, but he does look like he's maturing to be a pretty decent player, and we think maybe Man City.
Probably Man City.
Maybe they're going to be sniffing.
Maybe Chelsea, I think.
I think he's a Chelsea player.
I
personally think he's a Chelsea player.
I think so.
But
I don't think he suits that Man City way of playing. I think he's definitely a Chelsea player.
I agree.
I think he'd just slot straight in there at Chelsea, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, Leicester, they missed out on that opportunity, but Watford, good battle. I mean, what you're going to get with the Nigel Pearson side, the strong. I mean, he set the groundwork up for that Leicester Championship winning season. It's going to be a hard grind, players working hard. But yeah, I mean, the game after it was the Brighton Arsenal again. I mean, we just touched on Arsenal there. Now, this game had a lot more controversy because of the Maupay incident. Jumping into Leno. Now, I have watched it time and time again, and when we were going to do this show, I watched it again last night. I've seen players nudge keepers in the air so many times, right? It was innocuous. I don't think he did it to foul him.
Yeah.
It was an unfortunate fall on Leno's point. But I will tell you, I actually had AFTV on watching their live stream as they were watching it, right? Because it is blinding watching some of their reactions and stuff like that. And honestly, you'd have thought Maupay would have, gone in and shot the place up, in AFTV's head studio or whatnot, because he went absolutely ballistic. Okay, he knocked him in midair. I don't think he meant it.
Yeah.
But then to add salt in the wound, he went on and scored the winner, which you could have probably wrote actually. Any other team you wouldn't have done it, but because it was Arsenal. I mean, it was unbelievable that he went on and scored the winner.
Again, though, Leno coming out for that ball, take charge of the ball. Come out and do a Schmeichel. Throw everybody else off who's coming at you. If he's coming at you, you stand strong. You get the ball and you just stand strong. He sums up Arsenal again. He's another one that's a David Luiz type for me.
Although I will say though, he's been brilliant. He has been brilliant. Leno. He's a good goalkeeper. He was actually a 10 out of 10 in that Man City game. He was the only one that really came out with a bit of shine.
He's a good shot stopper, but if maybe I'm a bit old school, a bit like you, mate. We like a goalkeeper who's reliable, strong. Will come for crosses, will come for balls like that, and you expect him to take command of their area. And he just didn't really. He just sort of jumped up. Really nonchalant.
I'm going to say to you though, Scott, I'm going to play devil's advocate. He must look in front of him and go, God.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean,
you know what I mean? It's not Terry with Petr Cech going Terry, Cahill, or Terry, Carvalho. He's looking out and seeing Luis and a young 19-year-old.
You imagine
it's hard.
You imagine you're a goalkeeper, mate, which you are a good goalkeeper, mate, to be fair.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
If you've got a defence like that in front of you, I mean, are you expecting a 0-0 draw? No, you're expecting.
That's what I mean.
You're expecting probably to concede 1 or 2. A clean sheet for Bernd Leno is probably letting 1 or 2 goals in, but then hoping that Aubameyang or Lacazette steps up to score 4 or 5. We're dwelling on Arsenal probably too much here, but that just sums up Arsenal over the last 10-12 years.
Give me your opinion of Lacazette, because he's got the attributes, but just you give me your opinion of him.
I don't really know what he does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? How long's he been in Premier League? For 2 years.
A couple of years now, yeah.
He's not really a goal scorer. He's not really an assist maker. He's not really a hold-up player. He's not an Aubameyang that scores goals and doesn't do anything else. So what much... I'm thinking about the price tag here. 50 million for a 29-year-old. He's 29, 30 now. Or 28 when he came in. He's in the prime of his career, and he was very critical of the Premier League when he first came in. He was saying, the crowds are quiet and stuff, and I'm not really sure what he brings. I think out of the two, if I were to get rid of Lacazette or Aubameyang, if Aubameyang were 35, I'd still be getting rid of Lacazette.
Interesting, yeah. It's a funny one, and do you know what? He kind of screams out, he's the Martial of Arsenal. You expect great things, and I actually think Martial's a better player than him, to be fair, but he has that feel of him, is he a right-sided player? He can play up front, but he can play left side. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a little bit of a downfall that he'll work hard and he drops back, and he's not that, like you say, Aubameyang will just stay up front.
Maybe they are two similar players, Lacazette and Aubameyang. Maybe just that Aubameyang's just got that extra bit of pace, that extra bit of goal scoring touch. That maybe Lacazette feels that he has to drop deep or he has to get involved with players a bit more. But we saw him a little bit for Lyon in the Champions League and stuff, and he looked a decent player. There were a lot of clubs after him, but with Lacazette and Aubameyang, players of that ilk who score 30, 40 goals or something a season for the clubs, why do they end up at Arsenal?
That's true. And you know what, mate? We're coming to another summer transfer window, so Benzema's got to be linked to Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the 10th year in a row. West Ham 0, Wolves 2. I mean, I think we all said it would be a comfortable Wolves win. Turned out it was. West Ham, big game tonight against Spurs. I think David Moyes, we've talked about it. I think he'll have enough to get them out of it, but
I don't know.
They're just another team out there. Yeah. They're struggling, but I think with him in charge, I think they'll be okay.
We made our predictions, didn't we, on the podcast a few weeks back about who will go down, and West Ham one of my predictions that went down purely based on the fact that they rely on crowd and a bit of a 12th man.
True.
But yeah, they just looked really poor. They may have enough to stay up, but Wolves were fantastic, weren't they?
Yeah. Wolves are just a good side. I enjoy, as a neutral, obviously we're both Leeds fans, but if Wolves are on the telly, I'm watching them.
You're a big fan of Traore,
I think they're just unbelievable.
Big fan of Traore.
Brilliant. And
the ball into Jimenez for the goal by Traore on the bottom.
And Jimenez, I mean, for me, you talk about Arsenal. If Jimenez was at Arsenal, he'd get him 30 goals.
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant. Honestly, he's got that old school. He's a tall lad, got great feet. He just seems to have a canny knacker jumping up in the right place as well. He can use his head, and obviously wonder kid scores wonder goals every 5 games, whatever. What's he called? Navas.
Neves.
Neves, sorry. He was on TalkSport talking with Jim White earlier, and he just came across so well, talking about, I'm not even near the complete, and I'm working extra. I just loved everything he was saying, and for someone, and they made a good point actually. He went to a championship.
Yeah.
Because I think a few big clubs would have been looking at him, but he went, that Pull of Wolves. All right, we know the Portuguese connection, but
he were playing in Champions League at the time. They were playing in Champions League at the time.
That's what I mean, So I mean, and he ripped up that league. I mean, every goal he scored were a humdinger. But he just seems like he could walk. I think he could walk into a Man City team. I think he could walk into any top team, if I'm being completely honest.
I agree, mate. Yeah, I agree. He's a very good player.
I mean, but Wolves are turning into a top team. I mean, then another one saying, "Oh, if they don't get Europe," and we're like, "What?" It's unbelievable.
I think the break for them were a blessing in disguise, weren't it? Not that they were faltering.
47 games or something.
Yeah, not that they were faltering, to be fair, before lockdown. I mean, they were still playing really well, but you think that their season started. I think it was a year ago today. Their season started. Late June or early July. They started in Europa League qualifiers.
Usually around my birthday, so end of June.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And they're still playing as well as they were, before lockdown. So yeah, probably a blessing in disguise for Wolves.
Yeah, so they've had their little mini pre-season break and whatnot, and then they've come back in strong. Bournemouth, I mean, obviously they were in my bid to go. Palace 2-0 on Bournemouth. Palace are a team, if they get thumped 4-0, you're not surprised, but if they have a steady 2-0 win, you go, that's a Roy Hodgson team. They're a funny team, aren't they? They're
just really stable, aren't they? Just stable.
Extremely. Yeah, I mean, they've got some gem of a players. They've got them hard-working players, people that you seem to have seen in the Premier League for a long time now that is going to do a job.
Yeah.
And they might flirt with bottom, but they always seem to pull away, don't they?
Yeah, because they've got the type of players the players that have that sort of character, like a Gary Cahill, mate. Like we were saying, touching on for Arsenal. Milivojevic is a great player, and he's a great player in midfield.
Great player.
And they've got
fantastic
players. They've got players like a Zaha. Even Benteke has got a bit of presence up front, and Ayew has been excellent for him.
He's been great. He's been fantastic for him, hasn't he? Yeah.
What a signing, mate. But Bournemouth, mate, absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I'm not holding much hope out for Bournemouth. No, I just feel
you might have called that right, mate, for them to go down. To be honest, just based on that result the other night, they were terrible.
And then that whole Ryan Fraser thing is, I mean, half of me doesn't blame him. Something's gone on there because I think he's a talented little footballer, but something's gone on there. Or maybe he's thinking about that next contract and he don't want to break his leg, which, like for someone who is probably going into the peak of his career, is it worth the risk? I mean, I don't know, but he'll be always seen as a bit of a villain.
What would you do, mate?
It's hard for me because I'm not. It's like someone judging my industry, being in like the showbiz background and saying, and me giving a reason and going, well, I'd kill to be in your boots. But actually, if you're in that situation, I'm not a professional footballer. I would just love to be a professional footballer. So I'd be like, play. What's up with you? Play. But the older head on me thinks, well, there must be a reason why he doesn't want to, because he's going to get a contract off someone because he's a good player. I mean, Arsenal was sniffing around him 18 months ago.
I think there's two ways of looking at it. And I think if me and you are footballers, and what's a footballer's career? 15 years maybe, tops.
If you're good, yeah.
If you're good. What's Ryan Fraser? 24, 25. So he's probably coming into the...
Yeah, it's coming into that nice big contract era. Isn't
and he's had a really good season. There's been mentions of him this season of going potentially to an Arsenal or a Liverpool. And those rumours will still be there at the end of this season because he's played so well at the beginning of this season. So does he think that potentially if he picks up an injury that's gone?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think so. I think that's the only thing really, unless there's been I mean, again, I've worked in media, so I know how people are protected. Him and Eddie Howe may have had an absolute humdinger, and Eddie Howe said, "You're not going to play for me again," and it's been covered up. I mean, it's fine. Look, and maybe Ryan Fraser's going, "Well, you know what? My contract's up in on the 30th of June. Yeah. I'll walk away, and all parties are happy." So it's a funny one because Eddie Howe needs a Fraser on form,
absolutely,
really.
Mate. Yeah, he really does.
But there we go. I mean, that's it. Now, for me, performance of the weekend was Newcastle-Sheffield game.
Yep.
Newcastle were fantastic. Steve Bruce has got, no matter what you want to say about Steve Bruce as a manager and his playing style, I thought they looked awesome. And I know that they had a man sent off, Sheffield, but Newcastle didn't look like losing that game. Not at all.
No, they didn't.
I watched the whole game.
Yeah, and I mean, you can only beat what's put in front of you. It's difficult when you play against 10 men, isn't it? I feel like a team with 10 men sort of steps it up, don't they? The effort that they were putting in before, they step it up. But like you say, Steve Bruce, man, how can Newcastle complain about Steve Bruce? You know, I think we probably feel like the owners will maybe step him aside at the end of the season. You know,
are they close to Arsenal now? They're near Arsenal, aren't they? They're like 2 or 3 points.
I think they're 2 or 3 points off Arsenal. I think 2 or 3 points off Arsenal. You
now, if Newcastle, go on, mate, go on.
No, I was just going to say you can't criticise Steve Bruce's job. You know, they were, you know, we were talking about Rafa Benitez's season last season. You know, they were desperate to keep him, and I think he finished just below mid-table. Look at Steve Bruce's job at the minute now, and I don't really hear many Newcastle fans saying, you know, great job, Steve Bruce. I think it's probably because of the football that he plays, which we hear a lot of from fans. These days, you think about Steve Bruce, Sam Allardyce, Neil Warnock. You know, these types of managers that don't really play the best of football but absolutely get results.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, Newcastle, there is still 8 games. You know, Joe Linton finally scored. Almiron looks like a 10-year-old lad just playing in his backyard. But, you know, he is full of... He's going to give defences a bit of trouble because he's all over the place. And I watched him in the MLS and he was... I know the league is different. But I thought, wow, they're getting some player here. He's, you know... He had that. I say this very loosely. He's got that Javier Hernandez-like fox in the box, but yet he drops a bit wider, but he just hasn't maybe got that clash yet. But I think that if it clicks for him, it wouldn't shock me if he went on and got 15 goals next season.
Yeah,
I think because he seems to love football.
He's got that ability, and he's a bit of a playmaker, isn't he? I think he just needs to size up a bit, doesn't he? There's not a lot on him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and make better decisions because you're not going to get as many chances and creation of chances in the Premier League as you did in MLS either.
Yeah, he can become a bit of a cult hero up there, couldn't he? No. Over there, mate.
Sorry about that. I lost a bit of signal there. Sorry.
Yeah, it could become a bit.
It
could become a bit of a cult hero up there, couldn't he, Almiron? You know, they've had players in the past like an Asprilla, like a Ginola. You know, these players that have become a bit of a cult hit in Newcastle. You touched on Joe Linton there, by the way. What were 40 million?
Yeah, 40 million.
You think about the season that Newcastle have had and how much we're praising Newcastle. It just shows how good they've played, innit? You know, that they're still in this position that they are when their main striker's only scored 2 or 3 goals this season.
I know, and as well, he's got the attributes, hasn't he? But he, you know, maybe that might be. It might be the opening for him, you know. I mean, there were no crowd there for him and stuff like that. So
no pressure on him, is there? No pressure.
Yeah, maybe that helps. And we said it was either going to be, you know, you need a crowd or maybe the pressure off him. And he got his goal. It was great movement. But no, I just thought, you know, a 10-man Chris Wilder side. We spoke so highly of him before a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. And Ian Dowie, we were all talking about him, like, you know, will Chris Wilder get that Liverpool job? You would have expected a 10-man Chef U team just to be a little bit more grittier, but they look sluggish. They look tired.
They just look like the season's over, don't they? They're just sort of, well, in the 2 games that they've played, just seem to be winding down a bit. And I don't.
Yeah, but you know, they could bounce back and score and win quite comfortably for next game.
Yeah, of course they could.
Everton Liverpool. It was
a dire game.
Boring on every level. I mean, it was awful. It was literally awful.
Do we blame the kick-off time on a Sunday?
I don't know, because every game at the minute feels like like how we usually say Christmas Day always feels like a Sunday. At the minute, it's kind of got that feel in the Premier League. But actually, I thought Everton played well.
They had the better chances, didn't they? They had the better chances.
Yeah, I thought they had the better chances. Liverpool looked a little bit sluggish. It was just a bit of a game. Calvert-Lewin is looking some player.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions there, mate. I know how much you rate Calvert-Lewin. How much do you rate Calvert-Lewin? How far can he go? And what would be a success for Everton over the next couple of years?
Well, Calvert-Lewin, first and foremost, he has worked on his game so hard the last 12 to 18 months. And I think Carlo Ancelotti's gone in there, put his arm around him and said, I think you're good.
Yeah.
and just go and play a little bit more free. He's flicking balls, his movement looks sharp. He's gone from looking like he's got a bit of a potential to like kind of a bit unplayable up front, you know, like might not score. Well, I mean, he has scored a lot, but he hasn't. How can I put this? he looks like he can win a game. He's got that, remember when we said about Jordan Henderson? He went from being in Gerrard's shadow to having a bit of swagger about him. Calvert-Lewin's playing with a bit of swagger now. Everton, with Ancelotti, I mean, you've got to say they've got to push for Europe, maybe minimum Europa League first, and then build and go for Champions League. If you've got a manager like that, for me, that's where you're looking. But good players, I like Lucas Digne, Gomez I like as well. They're scattered with some good players, but they're also scattered with like your Wolves, who again just flattered to deceive for me again. I mean, Arsenal must have laughed all the way to the bank.
Schneiderlin left today, mate. He's transferred to Lille today.
Yeah, Schneiderlin, another player good player. What I mean, but
great Southampton, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny how sometimes a person can fit at a club and then the move, Gylfi Sigurdsson moved to Spurs, didn't work for him. Sometimes you find a club, don't you?
Yeah, you do, mate. It's weird one with Sigurdsson, wasn't it? He unbelievable at Swansea. Didn't really flat to deceive at Spurs. And he hasn't really done much at Everton. He's one of those players who, I think you've got to be frustrated with him because you have to give him that sort of free role. You don't expect too much of a work rate from him. You just got to sort of give him the free role. And I don't think Everton fans really appreciate how good he is.
I say he's played good though this season. I think Sigurdsson's had a good season. I think he's found his feet again. Watching him, I don't think he's been that player that we want to see week in, week out. But 1 every 3, I think he's been good. But I think if Everton want to go to that next level, they need to really kick on and get someone who'll, take the game by the scruff of his neck, create like De Bruyne. But I mean, there's not many De Bruynes out there.
Yeah, I think Everton are in a position, aren't they, where they can't attract the big players just by the club. They can with the manager, obviously. So they're going to have to get their scouting on point, aren't they? They're going to have to bring in the players who are probably going to be a Salah or De Bruyne.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, they got Moise Kean, and he's done. Yeah. Look, he's 19. He's 19 as well.
Yeah, I think we'll probably judge Moise Kean next year, won't we? But he would have been, one like we said then, one of the players that's maybe not a world-class footballer, but could probably be on the cusp of it. But again, he's sort of flattered to deceive, hasn't
he? Yeah. I mean, I like the young Davis as well for Everton. He's got that Everton blood in him and stuff. And I think Everton always need that player in their club. Could he go on and be a world-class player? I don't know. He's so young and he influences games and loses his head a little bit, but but I do like him as a footballer. I think he could be good, and he's a home favourite, isn't he? So
yeah. No, he's a good player.
I want to go on to this game last night, the Man City Burnley, and I also want to talk about one person in particular before we finish off with tonight, because Man City took away Burnley last night, like literally put them to the sword. And actually, I watched the whole game. Didn't really think they got out of third gear, to be fair. I just thought Burnley were poor and Man City were that good. But we had a discussion, didn't we? We were talking about the Grealish and Maddison. And I watched Foden last night, mate. And I was blown away. I think he's been great when he's shown glimpses. But he started 4 to 5 games now, and he looked unplayable.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Foden.
I think we said it in podcast 1 or 2. I said that he's going to be the star of the next year. He's got to be given that opportunity, though, hasn't he? And I think he probably will be over the next few weeks, because title's over, not really too much to play for. He'll be given that free role. It's David Silva's last season. He's just got everything, hasn't he? He's a little English David Silva, and what a squad to train with, to learn from. And again, there won't be any pressure on him for the rest of the season now, because there's no crowd.
No, that's true. I mean, you talk about the David Silva thing. I mean, David Silva played again really good last night, and I thought it was really nice in the interview. They asked Foden about Silva, and he said, "I wish he was signing another contract." Well, half of him's probably thinking he wish he was saying, because it's great to play, but he knows that opportunities coming. The no-look pass for the setup for the second or third goal it was, or something. It was pure class. It was that. When you always say a good midfielder and a world-class midfielder, it just looked unbelievable. Inch perfect.
How are Man City 20 points behind Liverpool?
Defence, Laporte being injured. I mean, it's simple. And you know what, though? Guardiola will do what Fergie did back in the day. Laporte's back. but they needed to replace Company. I'm telling you now, they'll go out and get a world-class centre-back this summer.
You think?
Because going forward, they're going to be fine. I mean, Aguero's getting on a bit. Sané's going to go, but he'll strengthen. Mahrez, I tell you what, I don't think he gets enough credit. I mean, we like Mahrez.
Love Mahrez.
But he turned Burnley a new one last night. I mean, they couldn't handle him. I thought all the midfield played superb last night for Man City. They won the game, and it just proved what a good midfield can do because they took them apart.
They just need to show up that defence, don't they? They just need to show up that defence.
Yeah.
Chilwell, maybe bringing Chilwell in the summer.
Even though we just said he's going to Chelsea.
Even though, absolutely.
It would be a good signing. It would be a good signing for Man City. I mean, whoever he goes, Ben Chilwell's going to settle if he plays for Lampard or if he plays for Guardiola. I think is that good.
Absolutely.
But Laporte has been such a miss for them this season. That injury, because with him in that team, maybe they could have. Maybe, I think Liverpool would have won it. I think they were on it, but maybe by 6 to 10 points rather than the 20 odd. I think that's the difference with this one. But do you think Man City will challenge next year and get it back, or do you think Liverpool may have a hold of this for a couple of years?
I think it depends on what Liverpool's sort of drive is next year. I think this whole lockdown and the lack of fans, Liverpool potentially celebrating the title in front of no crowd, should, and I would hope, it should give them more determination to win it in front of their fans next year. In terms of Liverpool, maybe get rid of the dead wood within the Liverpool squad. But I think Man City will probably be more focused on Champions League for the next few seasons until they win it. And I think that leaves a gaping hole there for the Premier League. So you might see a Liverpool win it again. You might see a Chelsea come back and win it. I think Man City and their owners want Champions League.
Yeah, it's on the, because I think it puts them on the wider map, doesn't it?
Just puts them on that world map, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it is funny. Like, Man City are such a dominant force, but I do a lot of travelling, and I see constantly Man United shirts, and they've not been good for a few years. You constantly see Liverpool. I go to Asia a lot, lots of Liverpool. You don't see many Man City fans, and they know that taking that leap to the Champions League and as well, maybe, I know it sounds silly because like you'd say De Bruyne as a key signing, but when they got him, he wasn't that world-class player that I think he is now. Do Man City need to go, because maybe I'm wrong, name me a world-class player that they've got from abroad, like like a Ronaldo going to
you mean like a huge signing,
marquee signing where they go, where the rest of the world go, 26 and he's gone to Man City. That's do you know what I mean? Like I can't. I don't think unless I'm being.
No, mate. I think you're right. I don't think they've done that since they got Robinho, and that was just as.
Sterling wasn't the finished article. Yeah. And whatnot. Obviously, the company came through. But, the system young and stuff.
But Man City don't have that pull that a Man United would do. If you're a big European player in Europe for a Juventus, for a Barcelona, for a Real Madrid, I don't think Man City have got that pull in terms of Champions League. Do you want to come over and win a Premier League, or do you want to come over and win a Premier League and a Champions League?
It's just. I was thinking about that the other day, that they've just not really had that marquee signing, someone who's 26 in the prime of their life, and they get him. Say if they'd have got a Griezmann a year ago, like who was 27, you go, wow.
Yeah,
but
you never really hear, Man City have bought a player. They've staved off interest from Real Madrid and Barca, and beating them to the signings. Whereas I think with a Chelsea and Man United, they probably could beat off the bigger clubs.
Yeah. Speaking of Chelsea, because we've touched on most of the games, Timo Werner, we're big fans. It was all nailed on for him. We thought Liverpool, but Chelsea have snuck in.
I think we spent a whole show talking about Timo Werner to Liverpool, and then he ends up going to Chelsea.
How he'd fit in the system, you know.
We've
got rid of that sauce.
We pretty much planned his season for next year, and then he 10 days later signs. But great signing.
He's going to be a good signing. Good signing. I think
they've missed that striker, haven't they? Chelsea. They've got all the makings of a top side. Bringing the youth players through. Could it spell the end for a Tammy Abraham?
I don't think it will. To be fair, I was thinking about this because, and by the way, mate, this is a marquee signing. Timo Werner, 24, tons of goals in Bundesliga. To Tammy Abraham, I think that he's too young to take the weight of that whole Chelsea team. I think that Timo Werner and
have we lost him? Are you there, mate?
Really sorry then, I lost signal once again.
Once again, mate. Go on.
I think Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham could work well together. I think that sometimes Abraham will start, but I think Lampard will make some big decisions, and maybe Werner won't start every game. I think he will start most games, but Tammy Abraham, he needs to just come through, and he needs to, he's still a young striker. He's done very well, but he burnt out a little bit, and I think the pressure got to him. Bringing in Timo Werner does not spell the end for Abraham. I think it helps him. Man United used to have 4 strikers, and they all used to score. So I think that maybe Lampard might be going for that mindset, saying we need goals if it dries up with Abraham.
It's a great signing for Lampard, though, isn't it? I think probably Chelsea fans were thinking when he came in, because he's a newish manager, do we think that he can pull in those players that we were just speaking about? Then, do we think that he can bring in Europe's best? Because Chelsea have been up and down over the last couple of years. Is he guaranteed Champions League? Is he guaranteed a title challenge? There was probably challenges from abroad to get Timo Werner's signature. Liverpool probably had no interest whatsoever, even though we said that he was nailed on to go there. But yeah,
I think they were interested. But I think the whole Chelsea Liverpool thing, they've been linked with a few players of the same ilk or whatever. Yeah. But by the way, Mason Mount was unbelievable the other day.
Mason Mount,
he was unbelievable.
He's improved.
He was unbelievable. Yeah, he really showed that class, and I think going back to the Foden thing into the European Championships next year, I think it's perfect. I think another year for Grealish, Maddison, Foden, and Mason Mount.
Mate, you think about the midfielders that we've got in this England squad. What have we got? Mason Mount, Jack Grealish, James Maddison, Jordan Henderson,
Dele Alli, Lingard if he's on form.
And we've got them 2 defensive midfielders, Declan Rice, Eric Dyer.
Yep.
I can't think of any other defensive midfielders really in England. Not even in the Championship.
Not in the Premier League. No. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think it bodes well. I think this England team for next year, and just postponing it a year, I think it's going to do them really well. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's another big week of fixtures. Liverpool, of course, could be one step in the door, with that Championship elect with the Premier League. They do deserve it. It's going to happen. But I think as a first weekend back, the Premiership out of 10, what we're giving the games, I think it's been a solid 7.
Solid 7. If the usual standard is a 9 or a 10, 7.
Yeah. I think Man City, with the performance of the week with that 5-0, they just look good. But Brighton deserve plaudits for the Arsenal game. So I'm going to actually give performance of the weekend to Brighton, because I thought they bullied Arsenal, and it was the same old story for me. So Brighton actually got my game of the weekend, but Newcastle were extremely close. It's only because Chef U had 10 men. But listen, we will be back for another review show. Thanks for joining me, Scott, and we will see you all very, very soon.
See you soon.